You have seen this argument. A group chat, a comment thread, two people, both certain, both with their links and their facts, and neither one moves an inch. You scroll away and assume one was just smarter. But watch closely. The two people most sure they were right were the two who understood the least. That is not an insult. It is one of the most reliable findings in psychology, and it means this was never about who knew more. In 1999, two researchers, Justin Kruger and David Dunning, showed something strange. The people least skilled at something are usually the most confident about it. Why? Because the skill you would need to spot your own mistakes is the exact skill you are missing. The less you know, the more certain you feel. So the real gap in that argument was never facts. It was something else entirely. For a long time, psychologists treated being smart and thinking clearly as the same thing. They are not. A researcher named Keith Stanovich spent decades proving it. The ability to reason well, to weigh evidence, to resist your own bias is almost completely separate from your IQ. He even named the gap dysrationalia. High IQ people who reliably think in irrational ways. Smart people do dumb things constantly. Sometimes the brain never learned the right thinking tool. Sometimes it knows better and takes the lazy shortcut anyway, because thinking hard is expensive and the brain is a tightwad. But here's the good part. If clear thinking is not the same as raw intelligence, then you are not born with it. It is a set of habits, and habits can be installed. So what do the clearest thinkers actually do? It comes down to about 5 quiet habits. None of them need a higher IQ. All of them are free. Start with the argument itself. When someone disagrees with you, the instinct is to win. Load your reasons, sharpen your case, and fire. Clear thinkers do the opposite. They do not argue to win. They argue to understand. And there is a precise reason it works. In 2013, a psychologist named Philip Fernbach ran a study in psychological science. He took people with strong opinions on heated policies, things like single-payer healthcare and carbon trading. Then he asked one question. Not, why do you believe this? Instead, explain exactly how it works, step by step, mechanism by mechanism. And people discovered they could not. The certainty had been an illusion. After trying to explain the machinery, their opinions became more moderate. Here is the sharp part. Asking for reasons made people dig in. Asking how it actually works made them honest. So the next time you are sure, ask one question, of them and of yourself. How would that actually work? You can watch a false certainty dissolve in real time, sometimes your own. But the second habit is where it gets strange. There is a gap between something happening to you and how you respond. Most people live with no gap at all. Clear thinkers build one on purpose. Daniel Kahneman called these two modes System 1 and System 2. The fast, automatic reaction and the slow, effortful thought. Almost every dumb move you have ever made was System 1 left unchecked. So how do you hand the wheel to the slower system? You name what you feel. In 2007, a neuroscientist named Matthew Lieberman put people in a brain scanner and showed them upsetting images. When they simply labeled the emotion, this is anger, this is fear, the amygdala, the alarm bell of the brain, went quiet. The reactive part turned its own volume down. You are not suppressing anything. You are not faking calm. You are just naming it. And the naming is what hands the wheel from the fast system to the slow one. It gives you back the half second to choose. Name it. Then choose. The third habit sounds too small to matter. Clear thinkers talk to themselves as if they were someone else. Think about it. When a friend brings you their problem, you are calm, wise, full of good advice. Then the same problem lands on you and the wisdom vanishes. Psychologists call this Solomon's paradox. You reason brilliantly about others and poorly about yourself. But the fix is almost absurdly simple. In 2014, the researchers Ethan Kross and Igor Grossman tested 693 people. The ones who replayed their problem in the third person, using their own name, asking, "Why is Alex upset?" instead of, "Why am I upset?" reasoned more wisely. More humility. They saw the other side. The gap closed. The same brain solves your problem better the moment it thinks the problem belongs to someone else. So when you are stuck, drop the word I. Ask what your own name would do. Now stay with me, because the fourth habit comes with a number. Most people pour enormous energy into things they cannot touch. What will they think of me? What if it goes wrong next week? What if it rains? In 2020, researchers Lucas Lafreniere and Michelle Newman asked chronic worriers to log their worries for 10 days, then tracked what actually came true. Sit with the result. 91.4% of the things they worried about never happened, and of the few that did, people coped better than they expected about 84% of the time. Read that again. More than 9 out of 10 of your worries are a tax you pay on events that never arrive. The Stoics had the cure 2,000 years ago. They called it the dichotomy of control. Sort every worry into 2 piles: what is mine to control and what is not. Then drop the second pile. Psychologists found the same thing in the lab. People who focus on what they can actually influence, an internal locus of control, act sooner and cope better than people who feel the world just happens to them. A clear thinker runs that filter all day long. So 4 habits down. The last one is the quietest of all. Clear thinkers use silence as a tool. Listen to most conversations. People race to fill every pause, answering before the question is even finished. But that hurry has a cost. Back in the 1970s, an education researcher named Mary Budd Rowe timed teachers in classrooms. After asking a question, the average teacher waited less than 1 second before jumping in. Then she tried something. She stretched the wait to just 3 seconds. The answers transformed. Longer, more confident, more reasoned. And more students dared to speak. 3 seconds. That was the whole intervention. Silence is just thinking time that most people are too anxious to take. So the next time someone asks you something that matters, do not rush. Let 3 seconds pass. What comes out will be sharper, and the pause itself reads as confidence. So go back to that argument you scrolled past, the one where 2 people did their research and neither one moved. You assumed the winner would be whoever knew more. But the person actually thinking in that room was never trying to win. They were asking how it works. They were naming the feeling instead of firing. They were stepping back, dropping what they could not control, letting the silence do its work. Smart was never the IQ you were born with. It is the half second you take before you react, and that half second has always been free.